I'm really honestly enjoying this conversation. I feel super, super inspired. Now, I want to be able to talk about the birth of Blankets and Wine.
Yeah.
And I want us to talk about how you came up with the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like despair to get you thinking. I recommend it.
You could say that again.
Yeah. When something is failing, don't argue. Actually accept
Yeah.
quickly and lean into it so that you can learn the thing that you need to learn. So for me, there was a gig that I was already doing at a club in Westlands, and the gig had stopped working. Combination of factors, but the point was I was at a crossroad, kind of like, do I leave music or do I leave the venue? And I felt like, leave the venue. Don't keep music because of this venue. But, it was really hard. It had just been like, the beginning years of anything is always hard.
Yeah. It's usually the toughest.
Yeah. And then I was just kind of talking to my friends. I was like, let's go hang out and just help me think through this thing, because I need a different way to see this, and I think I may be too close to everything, and I feel like kind of lost. So I pitched them the idea of finding another venue, and kind of talking through that thought, the conclusion was like, no, because you're still going to end up in this situation in a little while. You don't have power, you don't own the venue, you don't really have the leverage to set the terms.
Yeah.
So and also to enforce the terms. So you want to be in a space where you set the everything. It's your space. You determine the music policy. You determine who's coming on stage with you. You determine how much you charge. You determine what is sold. And so it's like, the gig you're doing now, you need a place that's a blank slate. And then the conversation kind of kept evolving, and it was like, why don't you try a different way of doing this? You're doing this thing at night. Why don't you do it by day? And I was like, oh yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
That could definitely solve for the problem of the guys of, I can't come, I have a kid, I don't have a nanny, whatever. So it's like, great. Then it's like, don't try and compete. Like, don't try and be on Saturday or Friday night. What day of the week doesn't anything happen? And that was Sunday. At that point, it's kind of like, church and hanging out with your family. So it's like, okay, so do it on that day when everybody is free. And then I remember, my friend's mom who had watched me performing and had said, if you ever need something, holla at me. I remember that she had this, outdoor spa venue that she was starting. And I figured it's a beautiful spot. But I also thought, like, look, it's footfall. If every so often X number of people came in and saw the spa, could this have a knock-on effect, for the spa even when we're not there?
Yes.
But the place was far. It was on Kiambu Road. Kiambu Road did not look like the way Kiambu Road looks like now.
Yes.
And so I remembered, in that discussion with my friends, I floated it and I was like, yeah, but I think it's fine. They're like, no, it's not far. It's destination, which means people have to opt in. So you can't pity Blankets. It's either you're going to Blankets or you're not going to Blankets. And you want to have a consumer who chooses
to go.
Opts in,
yes.
As opposed to like, I was just pitying. When you're building, you want to build with the people who are in it with you.
Yeah.
And so, that conversation, I was like, okay, it definitely felt like a relief. It was a bit exciting. And then, I slept, and there's that thing that happens when you sleep. It's like your subconscious orders. At least that's my experience. It's like if I'm stressed about something, I take a nap. When I wake up, it's like the thing has been organized.
Solutions.
So I just woke up the next day and I knew, what the thing could look like. I knew how the experience would be. And really that's how Blankets and Wine was born.
Yeah. Now, Blankets is a woman-run festival.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to talk a bit about this.
Yeah.
Is there a reason?
Well, I needed a place to perform, and I knew other people needed a place to perform. I was already producing my own gig, I think it was like bi-weekly, then became monthly. Then I can't remember the frequency at the point at which I stopped the gig that wasn't working, but I was already producing a gig. I was already paying for sound and doing marketing and preparing a set and like designing an outfit for performing in. I was already producing a show.
Yes.
So for me, the idea of producing and inviting other artists to the platform wasn't daunting because, you know, whether you're alone on stage or there's 10 artists, you're still going to hire equipment.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big leap. And then the more I produced, I noticed that, you know, the technical people were all men. The owners of the sound and stage, the engineers that you'd work with, it was almost always men.
Yeah.
And everybody who was in the soft side, right, like the people with the tents, were women.
We're women.
And I would have this experience kind of like when you're setting up, you just see like how you interact with people, and I really admired those businesses that were run by women. And so as I built my own business, I found initially, you know, when we started to onboard people, we had 4 interns, 2 guys to 3 guys, 3 girls. We whittled down to, I think, 4. And then naturally over a period of time, I just started to see like female energy is very collaborative. It's very thorough.
Yeah.
It's very detailed. It pays a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah.
We think about the most sort of minute things because it's an experience you're producing, right? You're not just plonking people on stage.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to lean into that. And over a period of time, we've just ended up finding so many extremely accomplished producers,
Yes.
women producers. And so then it just kind of became like we're women run, and, you know, 95% of our staff
Are women. Wow. I want to be able to ask, why is it important to create a platform for women to entertain, especially because of the challenges that they face?
Yeah, so in a space like with the things that we create, whether it's Blankets and Wine or Perform Music Incubator, I'm very hot for the idea of making space for women.
Yes.
I think that I can. We deserve it.
Yes.
We need it. If we don't platform and champion ourselves and tell our own stories, I think we remain at the mercy of a largely male run and dominated industry.
Yes.
So if I think about Perform, you know, we are pouring a lot into the development of talent, skilling and upskilling.
Yes.
I really think that because it's my prerogative, I'd like to pour that into women.
Yeah.
And to develop, you know, skill set. Like, you know, I want female engineers and female producers.
Yes.
And female artist managers. I really think that it's useful to play our part in kind of bringing some equity.
Yes.
At Blankets and Wine, that's one of the things that we think a lot about. And so when we grew enough into our second stage, one of the decisions we made categorically is that the second stage should be owned by women.
Yeah.
And so we ask, where are the female producers who are also DJs, and can we platform them? We are really having a lot of fun.
Yes.
So when I think about this upcoming edition of Blankets and Wine, we've curated the second stage with the Wine Down. And yeah, I got to meet Sharon Kyoko, who runs the Wine Down.
Yeah.
Through Shiba Hurst, who's a great producer of events and experiences. And she, you know, she was like, I think you should mentor Sharon. And we've had a few sessions, and I was like, oh, but actually the best way to do some mentorship is also just to give you like room to play.
Yes.
So we gave her some thoughts and a budget, and we said, can you put together an idea for the second stage? And that's how, you know, we have Blankets times Wine Down, and the second stage is, you know, women DJs only.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about that. And I think that because we're such a trusted platform, that when we say, you know, Miss Ray is going to be on stage, and then there's a bunch of people who are like, but we don't know Miss Ray, and we're like, exactly.
You need to know her.
Correct.
Yeah.
That she will be received with the love and the intention that we have when we're programming, and we think that the artists who we've programmed are going to have a good experience there and
Yeah.
a good experience coming out of there.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I really love that. It's all about women empowerment on our show, the Woman Takeover Wednesday show. I want to be able to just digress kidogo.
Sawa.
I had Mayonde here,
Yeah.
and she really emphasized on how important the music incubator is.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk a bit about this. I feel like it's a blessing what you're doing. Just being able to have artists in such a platform where they can go and learn.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us where this idea came from
Yeah.
and how it's been going?
Nice. Perform is one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yes.
So my own artistic experience, my gaps and the way those gaps were filled has really informed the design of Perform. So around 2013, I started to work with two Swiss producers. And I have operated largely
Yes.
in these last years in Switzerland and in Europe at large. And systems work, man.
Yes.
Being in Switzerland, Greg and Hook, this is the first time that I really understood, for example, set listing, that there's a theory to set listing and how to think about developing a show that has cadence and breathing points and that is, I didn't know how to design a set.
A set, yeah.
I didn't know, when we'd watch concerts on MTV or whatever, and you'd see like this incredible epic lighting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, it's not like machines, it's just really human beings who have access to the gear, and that lighting is actually a language. I didn't know that. I didn't know that lighting is a language until I was in the environment where you could write a grant, get some money, go into rehearsal for weeks on end, and literally build your show piece by piece.
Wow.
And so, I mean, shout out to us. There's a lot of effort that we put in, but I was like, oh my God, this thing can happen if it's just facilitated.
Facilitated, yes.
And then when we did the release of She in Nairobi in 2018,
Yeah.
there was such a deep longing by my peers. But like, yo, you need to mentor us. Yo, you need to help us get our shows to this level. We've toured extensively. Our show, we're always joking, but our show is a Ferrari. It's like very well put together. It's very thoughtful. It has lots of moments of, wonder and delight.
Yes.
That kind of thinking, I was like, I think I can design a program that'll allow people to learn. And there might be some things that are available here, and there's some things that are not available here. So we wrote a concept note. Around the same time, the Goethe Institute was starting a program called Jenga CCI, and they were like, oh, your concept sounds amazing. You want to get artist stage ready? And then I said, yes, but beyond getting artist stage ready, I also think that we need to do some upskilling of the teams that artists surround themselves with.
Yeah.
That guy who's your cousin, who's your manager, maybe that person should just be upskilled so that they can actually really know what they're talking about, and like how to really read a contract and like how to think about negotiation.
Yes.
Like, we really should refine the brands of the artists. So the Goethe Institute was like, sure, I mean, try. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So we did Perform phase 1. Phase 1, cohort 1. And we learnt a lot. The participants gave us lots of feedback, and we were able to design. So now in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, around April or so, the Goethe Institute came back and said, hey, you know that thing that we tried? Do you want to like do it for real?
For real, yeah. And you're like...
And we're like, yeah. But we want to design like the curriculums deeper. We want to like spend some time making this thing happen. And they're like, sure. Right, a budget.
Wow.
We're like, yes. So we then developed the curriculums for artist managers, for artist publicists, for event producers,
Yes.
For sound and lighting engineers.
Yeah.
And so the way the program runs is that you have some, let's call it classwork, right, where you sit in class and learn the big sort of I won't call them theory, but it's really like thinking through the things. You know, you unpack the things. Then you have the workshops. So you have songwriting workshops, and you bring in, you know, the big songwriters from the region, and you learn like really the theory of writing songs. Then you actually write songs, and you know, develop the drafts, and the good drafts are, you know, going to become songs, like real songs that we will put out.
Yes.
You have the engineering workshops for sound engineers for live. You have the producer workshops for the music producers. You have engineering workshops for the lighting engineers. So you hire equipment, and people have weeks on end just like learning the desks and like, you know, working with the artists to actually develop a showcase.
A show, yeah.
And so now we have done 3 cohorts. We've trained 105 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We have done 3 showcases. One was at Blankets 2020, 21, pre-pandemic, 2019 to 2020, pre-pandemic. Then we had 2 showcases that you guys can watch on YouTube. And now we are really excited that we are doing Perform Phase 2.
Nice.
Now in Phase 2, we've selected from all of these participants, we've selected 16 who are moving to the next level.
Oh, wow.
And we are resourcing. We are putting money down for people to now record the music and to put it out, to refine those brands so that we can commercialize them.
Yes.
We have managers, publicists, and event producers working very closely with the artists for the next 11 months.
Oh, wow.
We're going to release music. We're going to commercialize those brands. We're going to do events of different nature, networking events, showcasing events. We're going to release an album at the end of that project.
Yeah.
So 2023 is a really strong perform year.
Yes.
Alongside the work that we will be doing in Phase 2 is we are also going to test what it looks like if we do an online cohort. So as opposed to congregating people, if we gave some education online.
Online, yes.
So that we're able to reach people who can't be in Nairobi. We're going to begin with the event production modules.
Yeah.
Like there's so much demand for it. Please, we want to learn how to be event producers. And we're saying, yes, please, we need a lot more event producers in this scene.
Yes.
So that's going to be the first cohort that we're going to run online. And overall, I'm really excited about the Perform journey. I feel like this is an experiment that is just like growing and becoming.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing we're doing. We're actually developing the skills for the music industry.
Yes.
Because there's no industry without skills, man.
That is true.
So,
and we do need the skills,
Yeah.
and we do need like those proper systems that you're talking about. I want to be able to know what the future is looking for the Performer Incubator. What are the plans there?
Yeah, so this year, for sure, actually, I just came from the second day of workshop for Perform. We are onboarding the Phase 2 participants. We'll make our big announcements at the beginning of next year. But expect a lot of music.
Yeah.
A lot of content. Expect a fantastic concert towards the end of November, the top of December. Expect a killer album. And expect to see the fruits of learning how to do the thing for real.
For real.
And then doing that thing for real.
Yeah. I like how you said that.
Perform is going to be fine.
I want to know, what do you love most about being a woman who's paving ways for other young women?
What?
Like, do you look back and you're like, yeah, me. But how does it make you feel?
No. I mean, when you're doing it, you never think about that. But I suppose now that you've asked a question, I would say that when I was growing up, I remember we had a Kenyan band called Zanaziki. It had Joran Boya, Suzanne Gashukia, and Suzanne Matiba. And Joran Boya is the first person I saw with a mohawk. And these babes were fly, they were playing instruments. I was like, God damn. Just them existing. They weren't doing that so that they can pave the way for other young girls. Just them living their truth and being present to their lives and like doing the thing helped me see myself and imagine what it could be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if there's anything, for me, it's like, I hope that for other women on their come up in whichever sphere they are in the music and entertainment landscape, that for me, by me existing, me just doing my thing and pursuing my bliss, it gives them hope that you can do whatever the hell you want to do with your life, and you can be really excellent at it. And I hope that I'm actually like the minimum standard of what they know is possible and achievable for themselves.
Yes.
You know? So like, if you think I'm something, just know that I'm nothing. I'm like the beginning. I'm the first letter of the long sentence of what is possible for you. Yeah. I would hope that that's what I do for a woman who's watching. And I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be nobody's role model. Please don't put me on a pedestal. I'm just a babe. You know what I mean? I'm just a human doing my thing.
Well, the queen herself has spoken. Now, I want us to go into the last music break. Then when we come back, we can talk more about the upcoming Blankets and Wine that everybody has been anticipating for. And I also want to tell my listeners about Black and White. It is as smooth as a Casanova's smile. Make sure that you go and get yourself one. Remember that excessive drinking is harmful to your health, and alcohol should not and will not be sold to persons under the age of 18.